Okay, I have 4:10, so we can get started. I guess folks can jump on as they are able. Um, Couple of things that I think we want to get solidified. So Dr. Fleming, you and I had a conversation with Sharice kind of just about sending the school survey out. I think we're going to uh, we're going to work with them over the summer and then send it out next year just so that it can be gone through by their team and all that kind of stuff for the data. So that being said, I'd
Well, I
still
think
like
in broader context, there's legislation that has been bantering about, really kind of talking about surveying of students in any capacity that's really, I think, increased sensitivity on school districts around the state.
Absolutely. It's totally understandable. We want to make sure everyone has their ducks in a row for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll work with them on that aspect. In general, the survey, your team's been working on the surveys, correct?
Say what?
Your team's been working on getting the surveys finalized and everything, so we can start sending those out.
Yeah, so we should have had one other group look at it. So we should have, for the non-students, have that available by the end of the week here.
Perfect. I did have someone reach out just the other day, and I don't know how doable it is, but they were curious if we could have like a page that folks go to if they were involved to explain why it happened. Like, was it about protection? Was it about like credibility of themselves as a person? Like, why did folks engage in those activities? Is that something that we could ask, or is that maybe something we should ask more in a focus group type setting, in your thoughts?
Tell me more. What I'm not clear what they're asking.
Yeah, let me pull up the email. I'm probably not portraying that fully. As soon as I find where so the question is about if it was a person who was involved in, who sort of was the person utilizing violence, what was the motivation is the fundamental question that they're looking at. Was it about, did they feel threatened? Was it about protecting themselves? Was it a credibility issue? That type of thing. And I don't know if that would be a suitable survey question, or if that would be more of something we'd want to pull into the focus groups if we do those.
We could build that in.
Okay.
As a kind of a skip question type of thing. If they experienced that, what was the reason? What the context?
Yeah, because I think that would help us look at policy solutions about why folks are doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep, I'll incorporate that and I'll run it to you end of the week here.
Okay. Perfect. And did you have a chance to connect with the group from ISU about a date?
Yeah, yes and no. I contacted them and they said that they would actually, their dates are closing up, so kind of check with us, give them some dates that they that we can work with.
Okay.
So it's kind of going, and I just before this meeting is sent Sean an email about, okay, where are your dates? What's your dates available? So I think what we need to do at our end is consider what would be the best day and time and determine some options.
And roughly how long do they need? Is it something we could do in an evening? Would we need like a business day?
I think what they are thinking is like a 90-minute time in the evening,
Okay,
early afternoon.
okay,
They did create a flyer for us,
perfect.
and here is what it looks like. If we have any thoughts on it, and I can send this out to folks to get feedback on.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for sure.
So I'm send it out to everybody.
Yeah,
Okay, yep.
for feedback.
So I'm dropping a couple of documents in to
Mhm.
this email that I'd like to kind of talk with folks about at some
Sure.
point here, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So what I will do is I will create a doodle and just kind of ask folks for 90-minute windows, excuse me, in the next couple of weeks in April, and see what works for them for that ISU thing, because I'm also going to send out a doodle for another activity that we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you want to talk about those funding opportunities, I know you had talked a little bit with Mrs. Ortman about those.
So let's see where I have them. Let me do the first one here. So I just sent this to folks. There are two funding opportunities, two federal funding opportunities that I think may be timely and appropriate for us. They're competitive, but the one that I have here, can people see this one?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a STOP grant. It stands for Students, Teachers, Officers Preventing Violence. And this is a grant that we are finishing up, a 3-year grant with the Department of Education, working with schools around the state on. We worked with about 40 different schools. Originally, there were two STOP grants that came out, two types of STOP grants that came out. One that focused more on the hard core stuff in terms of metals, more of a reactive type of focus. Then the other one was more of prevention type of folks. This grant is combining them. We have a deadline, would have a deadline of May, just to kind of zip on down. There are 4 areas that people can apply for. One is on the technologies. So you can see, and this would be, school-based, but then reaching out to the community. Threat assessment teams is a second one. Then training is school personnel and students on school violence, and including, you see, school safety concepts, threat assessments, and then specialized training for law enforcement and other community folks. So this could be a funding opportunity that the school district could apply for, and partnering with community-based folks and law enforcement folks. We would need, obviously, the buy-in with the school district on this, as hoping that we'd have representatives tonight on this, but can follow up with Sherry on this. So this would be one opportunity. I think the other opportunity that is available that I think has has a number of some potential here is this one here. It's called Enhancing School Capacity to Address Youth Violence. And this one is looking more at, you can see here where I've highlighted, develop programs that look at individual partnerships or agency level or system level that would, work with school districts as well as other community partners. So this one, as you can see down here, highlighted, much more prevention oriented versus creating, the hardware in schools. It is looking at students and families and communities together working. Let me so here you see the program objectives here. Improve school capacity, prevent and intervene early, enhance partnerships between school systems and community-based organizations to address school violence, enhance engaging families in this area, and improving communication between home and school. And then the deliverables, a strategic plan, a service network of CBOs, community-based organizations, and developing kind of what they refer to as service backpacks for young people, kind of creating what is it that students need on an individual level. The other thing that I think makes this maybe timely is that they do have a priority area that is looking at, as you can see, they're promoting civil rights and racial equity. And I've highlighted, the A there. So, communities that have been, historically underserved. So I think there are, some issues within, the greater Waterloo community that we could look at and draw in. We have, data that could be helpful in that respect. So I sent both of those to everybody on the task force, plus the ISU document. So
Sure.
I'm, the center here, we can support. I, as a member of the task force, can support any of this initiative. If the schools have an interest in pursuing it, we can work with that. Or if they would like the center to take the lead on the grant application, we can do that. Understanding the part. I mean, it would be a partnership with,
of course,
the schools, as well as I think Amani or Embark. Those programs, not to say that, well, Amani deals with obviously violence, but I think since Amani is designated with the state as a culturally specific agency and has preventions programming, that it would be a natural reach out to them to be a part of this as well.
Michelle.
Yes, Brownstone's a new organization that is come out of the crisis center. You probably know more about it, Jonathan, than I do, but I've met Brittany Davies, and it sounds like they'll be working with kids that are right on the edge of getting into the violence if they haven't already, and keeping them from getting into the system, and helping them with the family structure and everything, when they be a logical partner to have in the commission.
I think, that would be, great. And then the Waterloo Youth Empowerment Project. I think what we would have to our advantage is this task force and bringing a collective unit together under the
Yeah.
mayors and the city councils initiative, and then, you know, having all the different people together and the partners. I think we would not be starting from scratch trying to pull a collective together, and, you know, recognizing some of these initiatives and bringing these initiatives on
Right.
to this grant, I think would help to make it competitive. As the maximum amount is for any individual applicant is $1 million, but it's a 3-year grant. So
Sure.
the
300.
plus side is that there's funding to, if you were awarded, to get things moving and develop some initiatives. The downside is it's, you know, a 3-year funding. So you'd have to
Right.
build in the sustainability piece to that.
Right. And that's our job as commission is there is funding, yes, for these sort of short term things. 3 years isn't a terribly long time, but then it's part of our job to look at how we can build those in. So thinking about moving forward, I think those both look good. Obviously I can't speak for anyone else. So what would be the next steps? What would you need help with to move us forward in the process on those grants, Dr. Fleming?
I would say, well, the key to any of these is going to be the buy-in of the administration.
Okay.
And I think the next step would be to talk with the administration there, superintendent, and building administrators, to present it to them, get the buy-in from them, look at the level of interest that they may have in this.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on how to approach that?
I would work through Charisse, and we can the three of us can talk about that. I know she was going to check on her end, but I think she would be able to get probably you on their calendar and those types of things. I know they have regular meetings between building admin on various levels and the superintendent. So I think if we work with Charisse, she might be able to point us in the direction on who to contact and how to get on their calendar.
Now, it could be that they're aware of these and they're pursuing them on their own, or they're aware of these and, you know, it's not there for whatever reason. I'm guessing that since these are coming through the Department of Justice, that it may not be on their radar as much as grants coming through Department of Ed.
Right. So I think we can have a conversation with Charisse, just kind of about where they're at and see what we can have in terms of a conversation with
Okay.
Dr. Smith and others.
So we would have basically April to write it.
Yeah. Is that I don't know much about federal grant writing. Is that a doable time frame to get everything situated?
Yeah, as a team.
Okay. Sure.
I think that's where the buy-in of the school, you know, because they could provide some of the kind of cut and paste narrative on
Okay.
numbers and needs, but it would be doable, I think, for this, between the two options. I think the last one I spoke of engages more of the community.
Sure.
And there's more happening there, and needs that community school partnership fits more naturally with the second one. The first one, the schools would really need to be taking the lead on, since
More
so
of the
much of
drivers.
it's internal, and then the community partnerships would be the add-ons to that.
Okay. So I will circle the three of us in on an email after this, and we can see if we can't get something set aside.
So for your reference, then it's the enhancing school capacity to address youth violence that is the first choice.
Okay. Okay. All right. Excellent. So let's work on that. I know you're going to get the surveys out to us this week to proofread, and then hopefully we can start sharing those both digitally. And is there a physical copy as well, or do we want to do it mostly digitally, or just for ease of collection?
We'll have both available.
Okay. Okay. So if someone because Michelle, I know you had talked with the jail potentially. So would we just be able to like print it out and then take it to those locations?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you give me, Michelle, are you distributing those, or is that one location we need to get to other locations?
You're muted, Michelle.
I can distribute those. I spoke with Jessica, the social worker, and she didn't think there would be a problem with that. Of course, she was going to check with Sheriff Thompson, and she thought that would work. If you would want me to survey the participants of Momentum, I could do that for the current term we have.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And that leads us kind of into a couple other pieces about getting out there. So first and foremost, on April 19th, the Waterloo City Council has invited us to come talk to them. Mental health has been their big priority issue the last couple of years, and so they want to continue to take part in this conversation. And I know we want to hear from young folks about what they're experiencing as well. So I want to put that on everyone's radar. In addition, I had talked last time, I would like us to start having, similar to what I did last summer, some listening posts I would like to April, May, and June at least, with the potential for more. I know we don't have everyone here today, given folks' schedule. So if I send out a scheduling doodle with folks' time and places, I'm thinking a couple in the evening, maybe one like on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. But I'm open to feedback and suggestions, because I think we want to get out and directly hear from people too. We can distribute surveys there as well, but we can also hear about folks' lived experiences as well.
Are there particular places you're thinking?
The Jubilee Freedom Center has been very gracious to host us. I know that Reverend Funches was also talking to some other churches in the East Side Ministerial Alliance about potentially hosting us. So I think once we get some dates, we can get some locations. I want them to be as accessible to folks as possible, preferably in neighborhoods where folks certainly have this lived experience, so that we have ease of access to be able to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
I could ask Dean about One City being a location, if you need a
Okay.
location here.
Okay. That
In this area.
would work as well too. Okay. So I will send out those 2 doodles, one for ISU, one for some meetings in April, May, and June. and we can circle back on that. Dr. Fleming, I'll circle the email in with you, me and Sharice, about meeting with district admin. And then whenever you get a chance to send that survey, I know at the end of the week, so we can start to take that live, so we can start to collect some data. On the survey do we want to have a window for how long it's open, or would you just recommend at this point opening it up, and then at some future date we can decide we've collected enough?
Both.
Okay.
Depending, if we're presenting it to a group, if we can ask, the next 48 hours type of thing, can you respond? Otherwise, people forget. But
Yeah.
keep doing those ongoing windows.
Okay. So do it in almost like in bursts every
Yeah.
so often. Okay, for sure. Okay. Is there anything else from the group? I want to be respectful of people's time.
So you're going to send out a doodle on the listening post. You're going to find a time for the three of us, and then a doodle for when we're meeting with ISU folks, right?
Yep.
So I think circling back to that a moment, who all do we want to invite to the ISU? I think at one point we talked about some additional folks. Have we reached out to them, or will we, once we get kind of date?
I think we are waiting to hear from ISU about when they wanted to, and then I think from there, then we can, invite folks and say, hey, this is happening on this date. We hope that you can join us.
Yeah.
Because I just think we know how hard it is to schedule for everyone, and then you just add more folks. I think at some point we just have to say, this works for most of us. Please join us if you can. If you can't, send a representative. If you absolutely can't, we can follow up.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Yep.
Anything else? All right, well, hopefully it starts to get a little bit warmer out there. It looks nice out there. Just wish it was warmer. We will see you all soon. And if anything comes up, please feel free to send me an email.
One pause.
Yeah.
Just heard back from Dr. Doris. April 3rd, 7th, 10th, 21, and 24 are pretty good right now.
Okay. Can you send me those dates, and then I'll put them in the doodle and see what works for folks?
I think the 3rd and the 7th may be cutting it short. I mean, that's next Monday and Friday.
Yeah, and I know that I already have conflicts next week as well. So if you can send those, I'll put them in the doodle, and if everyone can't make it, everyone can't make it, but we'll do our best. But yeah, I would say probably a little bit later would make more sense.
All right, I'll forward that on to you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much for your time. We will see you soon.
All right, bye-bye.